Yes, guys, for some days now in the Republic of Congo, it has been all about Joseph Kabila, Joseph Kabila, Joseph Kabila. I've been following this news closely, and I've been thinking a lot since this very issue happened. Man, no be small matter. Condemning past presidents to death sentence. If all African leaders have been taking action towards our past leaders, I think our present leaders will really learn a lot. Man, it has been all about Joseph Kabila. Joseph Kabila. Everywhere. The whole world is reacting. The people of DRC, they are reacting. Man, no be small matter.
The former Democratic Republic of Congo's president, Joseph Kabila, has been sentenced to death by a military court in Kinshasa in the DRC after 2 months of trial for colluding with the M23 rebel group in committing war crimes. Mind you, the trial and the verdict were done in absentia, which means he was put on trial and convicted without his physical presence in the court. So he wasn't there in person to defend himself nor testify on anything. The case was tried in a military court in Kinshasa, which started on July 25th, 2025 and presided over by Lieutenant General Joseph Mutombo, and the sentence delivered on 30th September 2025. Now, these are the crimes he was convicted on. The former president of the DRC, President Kabila, was convicted on charges including treason, war crimes, crimes against humanity, murder, sexual assault, torture, insurrection, and complicity with the rebel group M23. I repeat, treason, war crimes, crimes against humanity, murder, sexual assault, torture, insurrection, and complicity with the rebel group M23. Ladies and gentlemen, he was in addition ordered to pay about 50 billion US dollars in damages to the Congolese state and to victims, and the court rulings also calls for his immediate arrest. And as of the latest reports of his whereabouts, he was in South Africa in 2023, moved back in April 2025 to the DRC, and is in Goma, a city in the North Kivu in eastern DRC in a rebel-held territory. Ladies and gentlemen, the man is wanted by the state of DRC for war crimes. Now, President Kabila took office from January 2001 to January of 2019. That's 18 years. Before he became president, his father, Laurent Desire Kabila, was the president of the DRC for nearly 4 years before he was assassinated by his right-hand man. His father became president through a coup that removed the previous president, Mobutu Sese Seko, from office, who had been president of the DRC for nearly 32 years, ladies and gentlemen. So the entire presidential history of the DRC has been coup after coup until their current president, who is the only president who actually got elected, came in. After Congo's independence in 1960, Patrice Lumumba was the prime minister and Joseph Kasavubu was president. In the same 1960 in September, Mobutu carried out his first coup, removing Lumumba from power with the backing of the US and the Belgian government. Ladies and gentlemen, though Kasavubu remained as president, Lumumba was later executed in January of 1961. Then in November of 1965, Mobutu staged his second coup, this time overthrowing President Joseph Kasavubu directly and declared himself president of the DRC. Then Mobutu stayed on as president for almost 32 years until in May of 1997, when Laurent Desire Kabila and his rebel movement, the AFDL, overthrew him. All this while, the country's name was called Zaire. This name was introduced by Mobutu in 1971. It was until Laurent Kabila overthrew Mobutu that he changed the name from Zaire to the Democratic Republic of Congo, ladies and gentlemen. So, this Joseph Kabila, son of Laurent Kabila, succeeded his father as president from 2001 to 2019, and here are the number of wars and conflicts that went on in the DRC under his leadership, ladies and gentlemen. The Ituri conflict between the Hema ethnic group and the Lendu ethnic group, which ended in 2007. Thousands died. The Kivu conflict from 2004 to 2013 and persistent even till now. The M23 rebel group, which started in 2012 and is there till this day, ladies and gentlemen. The Kasai conflict and the Mai Mai militias. And guess how many people have died in the DRC from 2001 to 19 under the presidency of Joseph Kabila, ladies and gentlemen. A staggering 4 to 6 million estimated people have died. Under the leadership of Joseph Kabila, the people in the DRC who died are more than the entire population of Botswana, Equatorial Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, and many other African countries, even in 2025. As a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, from 1992 to 2025, more than 8 million Congolese have died due to tribal and territorial conflicts and wars, which is more than the population of 12 African countries combined. And Joseph Kabila declined to attend any of the military court proceedings, ladies and gentlemen. He didn't bother to appear to answer for the deaths of these people. He was rather hiding in South Africa, chilling, and later moved back to the DRC to stay in the North Kivu province, ladies and gentlemen. This is a country so disturbed and fractured, it will take a very strong type of leadership to get things to normal. Even the democratically elected president of the country, who is actually serving his second term in office, is afraid of the military, ladies and gentlemen. That's why he had to leave the legal proceedings and trial of Kabila in the hands of the military. Their military isn't scared of coups. Coups have been the standard for power in the DRC since the country's independence until 2019. And it has always been backed by either the US government or some European government, all because of the abundance of their natural resources. The Democratic Republic of Congo is widely considered to be the richest country in the world in terms of potential natural resources and wealth and diversity. And at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, it is one of the poorest countries in the world in terms of GDP per capita and human development. This paradox is what's termed as resource curse. And to a larger extent, ladies and gentlemen, all of sub-Saharan Africa is struggling with the same curse. The more an African country is naturally endowed with resources, the more their problems and ultimately a higher poverty rate. The West will be in your business the entire time, sponsoring coups and militias until they topple the leadership. That stands the chance of bringing significant changes in that country. And in addition to that, ladies and gentlemen, is the corruption and cluelessness of the leadership of Africa. Many times, those who hold on to power have no idea or clue what to do with it. And those who have ideas have no courage to pursue for political power. Therefore, there is a huge mismatch between the people who hold power and the type of problems we have on this continent. It is a huge country, ladies and gentlemen, with a population of over 100 million people. And I'm so glad that the military took over the court case of Joseph Kabila, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what should happen with all these other heads of state of African countries under whose regimes thousands and millions of people have been murdered? What do you think should happen to them? Let me know in the comment section. Let me bring you to speed with the estimated number of deaths due to civil wars and ethnic and religious conflicts in Africa in the last 50 years. Let me bring you to speed with it. First of all, it is estimated that there have been approximately 40 to 60 major civil wars in Africa in the last 50 years. Do you know this? And in that time, ethnic and religious conflict are uncountable. However, the total estimated number of deaths in the last 50 years in Africa due to conflicts of all kinds is about 25 million people and has displaced nearly 40 million people. This cannot continue in Africa. This continent is already tired, ladies and gentlemen.
Come to think of it, though, sometimes I used to think about this and it gives me serious concern. It's very difficult for you to see Africa probing past presidents. I don't get it. I don't get it. That gives them opportunity to do whatever they like in the office because they know that after their tenure, nobody's going to ask them any question, especially like my country, Nigeria. I don't know about Ghana and maybe other African countries, but particularly my country, Nigeria. As long as you're a president, you have right to do whatsoever you like. And when you go, nobody will ask any question. Nobody will even remember that you exist. I don't get it. I don't get it. That means that once you come to that position of presidency in our country, you can do whatsoever you like and get away with it. And that's the problem we face in Nigeria and in some other African countries. Why do you find it difficult to probe past president, to ask him questions? And that is why you see so many presidents today, they are doing what they like. They abuse power, they kill, they destroy, they do a lot of things before leaving office. And immediately they leave, the matter ends there. Nobody asks them questions, nobody, like, I don't get it. This is a very bad system in Africa. Very, very bad system. Because it's like you're giving them power to do whatever they want. It's time for Africa to wake up and hold their leaders responsible. Hold them responsible. What is happening in Congo today should serve as an example to all African presidents. They should learn from what is happening today in the Republic of Congo. Africa, take note of this and hold your leaders responsible. Thank you so much, guys. I know that you've enjoyed this beautiful video. If it's your first time on this channel, what are you waiting for? Why don't you subscribe to our channel right now? Press the notification bell so that anytime I post video, you'll be the first to know. May God bless the Republic of Congo. May God bless Ghana. May God bless Nigeria. God bless Africa. See you on next video. God bless you once again. Bye.